Hey, this is Randy from BibleBuyingGuide.com, and this is part 6 of me choosing my preaching Bible. And this time I'm going to look at a few study Bibles. Now, typically I don't want to use a study Bible for preaching because I don't want to have to turn multiple pages past, past book introductions and past articles, and then part of the pages taken up by commentary and things like that. But there are a few that I can use. And so I'm going to take a look at some of those. The first one to look at is the Teacher's Study Bible. This is the Standard Lesson Teacher's Study Bible. It is really good for teaching. And what I like about it for preaching, and I do like all of these for preaching, every single one of these, I'm being ultra critical. And I'm just going through being extremely picky, trying to choose the Bible I want to preach from. But I can preach from any of these Bibles. But just being extra picky. What I do and what I don't like about this one, I like the paper in this one. It's easy to turn, really easy to grab and turn. It's thick enough paper. It's really opaque. I like the print. It could be a touch darker, but it's good enough. It does have a clean text. It does have section headings. They're a little bit difficult to see, but they're not that bad. And any commentary it has is always in one of the columns. It takes up a column. So you have, a lot of text there. You don't have to wonder, am I going to have this much commentary in 2 verses? And for the most part, I found the book introductions easy to get past when I'm looking for something, because you only have like 2 pages and then you're into the text. So I could use this one. What I would like to see a little differently, possibly a little bit darker font, but I mean, really, this is good enough. It really is. The paper could be a little bit brighter or a little whiter, but I mean, it's fine. I'm liking this one. Kind of having a hard time saying something, saying why I wouldn't choose this one. I do like this one a lot. I don't necessarily need all the commentary. I'll say that's probably the main reason I wouldn't choose it personally. As a preaching Bible, as a teaching Bible, you might need the commentary there. But it's a clean study Bible. And you can tell, it could be just a touch more opaque, like this verse right here. That might stand out just a little bit. And it does look better under some lighting. And let's see in the back, we've got decent concordance. And then a few articles. It's better. It really is better for teaching, in my opinion. But if I wanted to preach from a study Bible, that would be a good one. I could preach from that. This one is the KJV Word Study Bible from Thomas Nelson. Now this one almost got me. I almost changed to this one when compared to the KJV Preaching Bible. Just for comparison, we'll compare the Standard while I've still got it open here. There's the Standard compared to the Preaching Bible. Font is darker, a little bit more white space. Paper's wider. They're both really nice and clean. But like I say, this one almost got me. What almost got me about it is I like the paper. It's not the same paper, but it's similar paper. Really similar. It could be the same paper, actually. I don't actually know for a fact that it's not. But the font is dark enough. It's got really nice section headings that stand out. The book introductions are small, so they're easy to get past. And any commentary it has is actually just a word study that's on the page. And they're always in the bottom corner. And sometimes there's several, and they take up this entire column. But there's not a lot there, and they don't take up a lot of space. So you're not having to share space with, lots of comments and things. This one's easy to use. The text is really clean. It's a red letter. The red is a little bit faint. I'm not fond of this red, but I found this paper to actually be more opaque than this one. It could be that this font is darker. That could be the difference. Could be the same paper and the font is darker. This one feels like it has a little bit better coating than this one does, though. This is a little rougher. So I don't think that it's exactly the same paper, but if it's not, it's really similar. Now, one thing I did find when I was preaching with it, I enjoyed every minute of preaching from this. And sometimes I would come across a word and then I would take a glance down here, and you see that the word is covered somewhere else. So that doesn't help me that word is underlined, but it doesn't hurt a lot. But if I am curious as to what the word is underlined for, and I want to give a quick definition, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. And then sometimes when you see that you have a definition and you want to go look and see what it is, while you're preaching is not the best time to figure out what part of this you want to convey to the audience. So I don't necessarily need that on the page when I'm preaching. When I'm teaching, maybe I might slow down a little bit more and I might actually read the whole thing. But in preaching is a little different. So because of that, and because of the red letter, I'm going to say no on this one as a preaching Bible, but I do like it. The concordance is a little bit smaller than I would like, but at least it does have one. It does have some good word studies back here. A lot of good tools in the back. Greek number index, Hebrew number index, passage index, English word index. So there's a lot of good tools, and then it has maps. So this one, this is a good one. I could go with that one. But because of those, I'm going to stick with this. Now, the Thomson Chain reference. I am a Thomson fan. It's been one of my favorite Bibles for a long, long time. And the thing I like about it is that it's just a good topical study Bible, allowing Scripture to interpret Scripture. In the back, you've got topical list, basically, and you got a massive concordance. Good archaeological information. Not a lot of commentary and that kind of thing. Just good topical information. There is some commentary and things in the analysis, but not much. There's not a lot there. More than anything is topical lists. So it's really good for just devotional reading. It's really good for topical study. It's really good for sermon prep, that kind of thing. But for preaching, I don't necessarily need it for preaching. Like you can tell here, you got 4 columns per page. Okay, so you've got 2 columns of text and 2 columns of references, and the references have their topic. I like this for study, but I don't necessarily need all that for preaching. Sometimes when I'm looking for, you're just reading it, and then you just look over here and you might see something, but it doesn't necessarily help you in preaching. It will give you the next verse in the chain, but most of the time, that's not necessarily what you're going to do next anyway. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you're going to follow a chain, but sometimes you're, of course, not just a single verse in the chain, but the entire passage, and then you'll pick what you're looking for. But when I'm preaching, I already have all that decided most of the time. Every now and then I'm going to throw in a new one, and I did that Sunday with this one, with the standard, and was able to find what I was looking for really quick because of the section heading. This one has section headings up here, or more like chapter summaries. But the thing I don't really want to use this for preaching is because of the paper. It's not as opaque as I'm looking for. Like I say, I'm being ultra picky. I'm also not fond of the red letter. But, I mean, it's good. It'll do. It would do. If this is the only Bible I had, I'd be fine with it. It's not a problem. None of these are problems. This one does have a little bit more variation in the red, but it's not bad. None of that would keep me from using this. And then the last one is the Sword Study Bible. And this one almost got me. I'm still tempted. I'm having a hard time coming up with reasons not to use this. And I'm being so critical that probably my best reason is the fact that it's chunky. It's short and thick. And that's really about it. Let's just take a look at what we got here. Okay, it is a large print. Personal size. You can get it in giant print too. For me, this print is large enough. I do prefer this print, but this is good enough. This does have the simplified pronunciation marks, which I'm not really a fond of. I don't really need them, so I could ding it for that. The words are underlined, and then at the end of the verse are updated words for that. So it helps explain what they are. In the back, it's got some really good information, treasure of biblical information. It's got articles on interpretation. It's a young earth creation, and it is a pre-tribulation rapture. primarily, and it does include some other things. And let's see, a lot of articles, really good concordance. Concordance is massive. And then not really detailed maps, well, detailed, but black and white line drawing. And then one really cool thing about this is, well, let's look at this. Red letter in the Old Testament. And that's unusual. You don't typically get red letter in the Old Testament, and I like that. The book introductions are about a page to 2 pages, and that's about it. It has a lot of topical studies, and they stay out of the way. None of this gets in the way. I do like this Bible a lot. Between the Testaments, a lot of good information there. Then in the front is the topical index, and you can add your own. And you can actually create your own topical index and send it to them. And if they like it, they might include it in the next version of this Bible. So I find that interesting, and I do like this a lot. Chain reference, I like it a lot. So that's a good one. I could use this as my preaching Bible. But being super picky, I find that sometimes I don't necessarily need the word to be explained. I don't necessarily like all of the self-pronouncing, like this one for Israel. I don't need that. One thing I did find interesting in the book of Revelation, chapter 21. Now, I have always tried to keep Bible Buying Guide non-denominational, but every now and then I do like to point out things because it's just something to study, something to research. Revelation 21, 5 through 8 is in red letter because Alpha and the Omega. And, you always see that in 22 in red letter. And 13, that's always in red letter. But this is almost never in red letter. So I thought that was interesting. Now if it's the words of Jesus is in red. If it's the words of God, it's boxed in the New Testament. And then the words of God in the Old Testament are red. Well, it's here somewhere, I promise. So that could be really handy for study. So, comparing it to this one, I do prefer the print of the Preaching Bible, Thomas Nelson Preaching Bible. I do prefer the paper of the Thomas Nelson Preaching Bible. So because of that, I am going to keep sticking with the Thomas Nelson Study Bible. But I liked every single one of these. But they did make me think, here are updated words next to the verses they go with. Here are topical studies in the margins out of the way. There's topical lists where I can get to them. There's articles back there where I can get to them. There are word studies on almost every page, but they're out of the way. Typically, they're mostly out of the way. But there they are on the page where you need them, except for some of these send you to another page. And there's some comments here, some commentary on the page, out of the way, away from the text. And then you've got topics in the margin, out of the way, away from the text. That's one thing I like about the Thomson. It is a clean text. The text itself is clean except for the self-pronouncing marks. That's it. I mean, it's a clean text. So it gets me thinking, what if I use a wide margin Bible and add my own topical studies, add my own word studies, add my own comments? They wouldn't be there because I need them for a sermon. They would be there because I would study from the same Bible I preached from, or I would study in the same Bible I preached from. And in my opinion, there is a value to having that familiarity. So next time I want to look at wide margin Bibles. So what do you think? Would you use a study Bible? Do you still prefer this one over any of these? Do you have this? Do you like it? Do you use it? And do you use a wide margin Bible instead? What do you think? Just let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and all that. Thanks for watching.